come across this concept of e-learning. So what is e-learning? So this e-learning has developed very fast due to this concept of this technology called internet, right? So this internet and World Wide Web, all these are having, I mean, they are providing us with an easy access of information and gaining more knowledge. Okay, so this e-learning technology is nothing but it supports the both the teacher as well as learner. That means it can be useful in the both ways. That means you can teach to some other or you can learn from some other. In sense, you can it can be said that it is useful for both teaching as well as learning by using this computer web technology. That means if this technology is nothing but it bridges the gap between the learner and teacher, right, in different ways. Okay, so that means the teacher may be somewhere, the student may be somewhere, but because of this e-resource, it bridges the gap between those two, where they can interchange the information or they can share the knowledge what they have. Okay, and now, so these e-resources, the earlier days, I mean, the starting of this technology, what we are seeing is, I mean, the computer-based instruction. That means, for example, the previous days, if we buy a book at the end of the book where they will assign us an CD which consists of some instructions how to install a software or how to learn this. That means there are some instructions which are being dumped into the CD and that CD is provided for us. So that is also one type of learning in the earlier days, and that type of learning is now changed to the browsing of internet. That means we can simply access the entire book through the internet, or whatever any clarification about regarding any topic that you can verify in the internet or you can google it them. So day to day how the technology is changing means, so we are going to minimize our time or we can going to save plenty of time, and we can have more information within less time due to the presence of this internet. So this e-learning is nothing but the technology which supports the both teaching as well as learning with the help of this World Wide Web technology or computer web technology. And now, then what is e-learning? So what are the what we say the benefits or what are the features involved here? Suppose if we prefer in this e-learning, the first one is the teaching and learning is become an individual one-to-one interface. That means the the learner can directly contact to the teacher or an what we can say the resource person directly at any time. So the teaching and learning will be one to one. And the second one is it will be more interactive. But when it is in the case of a normal classroom, suppose if a teacher is delivering a session into the classroom, then thus this particular interaction is depending on the size of the class. That means the number of students present in the classroom. So it may vary. So, but in the case of e-learning, it will be more effective. Then third one is our learner centered. So learner centered is nothing but it is a very important thing that we need to discuss. See, learner centered means that process, the entire process depends upon the learner. That means here in this particular course, the beginning will be the learner and the end point will be the learner. That means the total process, the total environment, it depends on the learner itself. That means how interest the learner is showing and how focus I mean what kind of focus he is presenting there, and how far the knowledge is gained by the learner, that we need to see here. That means a teacher can provide all the necessary tools required for the learner to learn, but the concept is the learner should have interest, and the learner will be then an active partner here. That means learner is nothing but, in our words, we can say it as a student. So how far the student is gaining the knowledge by using these e-resources. So how far he is learning the subject, whatever it may be. The main center is here learner. That means whether the learner gaining the knowledge, whether he is in the beginning level or intermediate level, or whether he reached to the top level by gaining some knowledge through this e-resources or not. Okay. So this particular course, this can be continually renewed. That means the mode of delivery of the teacher can be changed. by having the genuine feedback from the learners. As we said, that e-resources means either suppose if it is an video lecture or else it is a seminar or a PowerPoint presentation. So when the learner is listening to that particular session, so all the learners will not be in the same position to grasp the knowledge at a time. So by having the feedback from the learners, then we can change our mode of delivery so that the learners can gain more knowledge from us. So this will be the concept of learner centered. That means here the main concept is only with the learner, how far he is gaining the knowledge and how far he is well familiar with the particular concept. And then learner monitoring and grading system. So learner monitoring means in the present days, suppose if we are learning a course on online course or else what it may be, so we should be in a position to assess our own progress. So how far we learned the subject and at what level we are in now. So likewise, the students need to learn, assess their own progress. So in order to assess the progress, so we can provide them an online assessments or in grading systems. So suppose if there are 60 students which are participating in that particular online session, then we can have an self-assessment or else an assignment grading assignments so that they can learn or they can know at what position they are. That means we are helping the learners to identify the progress that they have made, and they will be understand that what to do the next. So what to do the next, whether they are in beginner level or intermediate level. So they know what to do. They can know what to do the next. Suppose if it in the grading system, that means these learners can uh, the learners can know at what level we are, what level they are. So it reflects that individual learners' performance from a certain level. That means whether they are in a starting stage, whether how much knowledge they have gained. So by using this learner monitoring and grading system, then it is also one of the mode of e-learning. That means a learner can clearly understand at what position he is. Suppose if he is not satisfied with that, then by having a feedback to the particular teacher, so he can give a suggestion to have an another mode of delivery so that he can gain more knowledge. So these are these different features that we come across this e-learning. Now, then we have different learnings here as with as e-learning, web-based learning or online learning. So e-learning is nothing but the computer need not to be the central element here. That means that the learner can learn or access the information at any time he wants. That means it associates the activities which are involved in the computer and interactive networks simultaneously. So here, in the case of web-based learning, it is associated with the learning materials delivered in web browser. That means including the materials which are packaged in CD-ROM and other. That means here we are providing the materials in the uploading the materials in the portal so that the people can uh, browse or you can collect the data from that. So e-learning and web-based learning. Then what is this online learning? So online learning means it is ready. It is associated with the content readily accessible on a computer. Means the content may be on the web or else internet or simply installed in a CD-ROM, whatever it may be. That means already the content will be readily present and that will be accessed by the learner. And now if we clearly come what is in by e-learning. So the letter E indicates that it is an electronic learning. The next, it means in the case of e-learning pioneer, the Bernard Luskin 2001, he explains this E as in different methods as exciting learning or energetic learning, enthusiastic, emotional. So like that, he based on his own experience, he explained this particular abbreviation as e-learning. It's nothing but an internet-enabled learning. So So without internet, this e-learning cannot be possible. So as the present technology evolves around this internet, so without this internet, this cannot be done. So it is nothing but it is a house of a group of education and information, the communication, training, knowledge, and performance management. So what you can have and you can mm, have an collective information here. So e-learning is nothing but with the help of internet technology, an user can gain more knowledge in different relevant areas, whatever he need. Now, if we come with the benefits of this e-learning, so first thing is it is more convenient. So how far we can justify this? So first it is a self-service. That means the user can access the whatever information he need whenever he want. That doesn't depends on the particular teacher. And then is second one is on demand. That means the user can access the information anytime from anywhere. And the third one is the private learning. So private learning is nothing but so the learner is learning some courses or whatever it may be, the knowledge, gaining the knowledge on his own interest, and it is an self-paced. So self-paced means pacing is nothing but improving the skills or improving the knowledge at his own interest within a low time. So pace nothing but the meaning of pace is a fast development. We can say it as it is used as a verb in the case of fast development. So you can say it as you can improve your skills very fastly, so that you can gain more knowledge. And one is flexibility. Other one is flexibility. It will be more flexible. That means it will be flexible to the user. That means at any time he can access from anywhere. So you can by these particular features, you can say it as a more convenient for an user to learn something. And next one it is an media. That means it is easier to understand. It will be more engaging. So how it is easier to understand means the user have he can access more number of materials or else more number of sites so that he can go through the same topic in different mode of delivery. Suppose if he is searching a topic in an internet, then there will be more number of sites which is delivering some of the content to him. So by accessing different number of sites, he can come to an conclusion about the particular topic in different mode of delivery, so that he can easily understand the particular topic. That means he can listen or he can view that once or twice, so that he can easily understand that. And the next one is it is repeatable. So just I know I said that suppose if it is a video lecture, so the user or a student can go through that particular video once or twice or thrice until he understand. Whereas this cannot be done in the classroom. Why? Because it is a group of 60 students where the teacher is delivering a lecture. So among those 60 students, if one or two students are there who didn't understand the topic, then it is not possible to repeat the topic in the same class where the class is on limited duration within a 1 hour. So we cannot repeat the session again daily. So what is the only the thing is if it is a recorded session, then the user or a student he can again whenever he has a free time he can again go through the class and he can again listen to the class. That means you can repeat the particular topic as many as times you like. And one is next one is it is easier to monitor. Easier to monitor means see how uh, the learner is been learning the content. Suppose if we are conducting an online session, then we can assess the students by conducting some online exams or else within online assessments. So we can easily monitor the progress of the students, where we have here less administrative work and it can be more precise actually. Suppose if it is a manually, then we need to conduct exams and we need to evaluate them and we need to assign the gradings where those all the will be replaced with this particular internet technology. So if we connect an online exam, within a fraction of seconds, the grades will be released as it is. So within a few seconds, the students can know at what level they are. So they can know their own progress, and they can go for the next step. What we need to do further, depending on the grade what they have. So it is easy to monitor the progress of the students or learners, and then it will be consistent actually. That means whatever the content that we are going to deliver, that will be constant. I mean that the whatever the quality and quantity of the content will be equal to all. For example, if it is in the case of our traditional method, that means our delivering the lecture in the classroom. If a particular person is delivering the lecture for a 1 hour on the morning session, then he can do up to the maximum. That means he can deliver the maximum content to the students. When the same person, if he need to deliver the session to the next class, or else to another section or another 60 students, then the same content of the same content will not be delivered. There will be some change. Either it will be the mode of explanation, or it will be an uh, explanation through the examples, or else the interaction between the students. That will be obviously changes. So in the case of this e-learning, the teacher will deliver the content once, so that the different types of the different learners, or a n number of learners, can listen at any time with the same content. That means the quality will be same, and the quantity of education will be equal to all. So it will be somewhat benefit to the teachers. That means uh, the quality of the content will be protected as much as possible. And then, so we have some delivery methods of e-learning. So we have different methods how to deliver the content through this mode of learning. So we have first one is synchronous learning, asynchronous, instructed leading group. Next, self-study with subject expert. So we have these are the different types of e-learning, and we will see one by one. So first we will see with the synchronous learning. So the word synchronous means that all the tasks should be done within an particular time interval. So synchronous directly depends on the word time. So here synchronous learning means that learning as well as teaching both takes place at the same time, while the trainer or else or the instructor and the learner will be physically separate with each other. As it is e-learning, I said that the teacher will be somewhere and the student will be somewhere, but the session will be online. And what is this synchronous means? So at a particular stipulated time, the learner and teacher will be exchanging their information. So synchronous learning means the learning and teaching takes place in real time. That means in the same time, where the trainer as well as the learners are physically separated from each other. That means there will be, student will be at home or teacher will be at another home. It is home. So they are exchanging informations. Uh, they depending on the particular time. So synchronous learning means nothing but, see here we are having some examples. So listening to a live radio broadcast and watching a live television broadcast, audio and video conferences, just online lectures. So these are examples, few examples for synchronous learning. So synchronous learning means there will be some time period. At this particular time only, the learner can gain a knowledge or share they can share information between them. Synchronous. Whereas in the case of asynchronous learning, so asynchronous learning means the trainer prepares the material earlier itself, and the learner is free to decide when he need to learn the course. That means the teacher can prepare a material what he need to deliver in the class as early as possible, and he will just provide the material through this e-resources. And here the main thing is the learner has a freedom to select the time when he need to learn the course material or whatever it may be. That means in the previous synchronous, there is a stipulated time. That means suppose if it is 9 to 10, so from 9 to 10 itself, the learner has an scope to learn something. After 10, then there is no scope. That means, for example, the live sessions, suppose if it is from 9 to 10, so whatever work he have, the learner should keep aside and he need to attend the session from 9 to 10. Why? Because after 10, he won't get any information. Why? Because it is live. Suppose if it is recorded and if it is uploaded in any YouTube channel, or suppose if it is uploaded in Drive, whatever it may be, if it is recorded and provided to the student, then the student has an flexibility to select a time, free time, and he can learn at his own interest. So in the what we are doing in the classroom in sense. So the classroom teaching is nothing but a synchronous teaching or synchronous learning. That means from 9 to 10, one of the faculty or one resource person is coming and he will deliver the lecture to the students. And from 10 to 11, that will be another subject. So like that, we are stipulating a time to different subjects and we are delivering to the students directly to them. It is synchronous, depending on the time. But in the case of asynchronous, the student need not restricted to a time sequence. So he can select the free time. Suppose if he is not interested now, if he is interested at evening time, then evening he can open your recording session and he can listen and he can prepare a notes and he can learn something. So asynchronous learning is that. So some examples we have here. See, the self-paced courses via internet. So what we have said now, if you prepare a video lecture and upload in the YouTube, then he can access the video what you have recorded at any time he need. And then next one is videotape classes and stored audio and video web presentations or seminars. So whatever it may be, asynchronous means nothing but that there should be an freedom to the learner to learn when he need to learn a course. Okay, here the learner is free to decide when he wants to study the course. So if we come across these examples of this synchronous learning means through via telephone or else a screen sharing that next by using chat method or a desktop conferencing, online seminars. So all these are synchronous. That means it depends on the time fixed by the particular teacher. Suppose if we go with asynchronous, so in the case of asynchronous, the learner will be free. He has a freedom to select at what time he is interested to learn. So asynchronous method we can have with an fax and email, news groups, a computer-based training, a quick reference guides. So whatever it may be. So these are the alternative methods for which are replacing the time constant in the previous session. That means the learner should have a free freedom to select the time slot. Because nowadays students, uh, most of the students they may not have interest in the particular time, so they may get interest in the next hour. So whenever they get interest or whenever they are eager to learn something, at that moment we should be ready to provide that material or whatever the content. So if you upload these videos into the particular YouTube or any other uh, your personal blogs, so then they can access the particular videos at the time where they got interest in learning. And so it's this truth of e-learning. So how far this e-learning is uh, acceptable means, see, the internet has started the reshaping of your education, and right now this education system is being reshaped with the help of an internet. And right now this whatever the present situation is there, that will not be same for the next decade. It may changes. That means the entire education system will be replaced either with e-resources. So the traditional classroom has to be transformed to some extent. That means we need to replace some other uh, ICT tools to that particular students. So we need to teach them how to use these e-resources more effectively. So This e-learning is nothing but the method where more number of students are being accepting that they have learned and when they have gaining more knowledge than this mode of the classroom teaching. That means in a recent survey they said that a learner can learn or he can gain a knowledge only based upon his interest, without any force of the teacher, without any force by the external person. He himself should get interest to learn something. Unless it is done, he cannot bring up his skills or he will bring up his knowledge at all. So here the uh, how to build an e-learning culture. That means how to create the environment between the in the case of colleges or whatever it may be, how to build an e-learning culture. So in order to build a e-learning culture, we have three what we say, the three persons or three major fields that we need to concentrate. One is learner, and one is teacher, and one is administrator. So without these three, we cannot build a system. This e-learning system, we cannot build that. That means e-learning is nothing but there will be some learner and there will be a teacher. In between them, there should be an administrator too. So if we are in learner, then what are the aspects that we need to have? That means if he is a learner, the learner should be self-directed and self-motivated, and they should be self-regulating as well as lifelong learning. So these need to be have in the case of learner side. So these learners should be self-motivated. That means uh, unless they have focus or unless they have interest to learn something, we can't do here. Why? Because the teacher is somewhere and student is somewhere. There will be no physical presence there, so that the teacher cannot force him to do. So unless the learner have an interest to learn something, unless he is a motivated, self-motivated, then he cannot build this. He cannot grown up with this culture. Suppose if the same, if we go with teacher, so the teacher need to develop the knowledge as well as skills, and he need to understand the learning and its need, and he need to facilitate the learning and creating the learning opportunities. So the teacher needs to know how to take all these resources what he have to the towards the students. That means what kind of delivery he need to do, and what kind of examples he can present towards to the students in order to gain the knowledge. And he need to grow up with some of the knowledge and skills, and he need to understand the concept of learning. That means he need to think from the student side. Suppose if he is a learner, then what are the aspects or what are the requirements he need? The same requirements you need to provide to the students. The only thing is, first we need to think from a student side. So what the present student, nowadays, how the student is, what are the requirements of students now, nowadays? And those requirements that is our part to fulfill them. We need to provide them to the students. And in the case of administrator, that means the management. So what they need to do is that they need to create a learning environment by providing these e-resources. So they need to let them know to the students what are the resources available and how can they use these resources, and how these resources are replacing some practical problems existing in our life. So like that, they need to create a learning environment there. So by the two, they're providing an ICT infrastructure and the resources that we provide for the lifelong learning. So with the if we are having, or if we replace, or if we provide these particular qualities in all the learner, teacher, and administrator, then we can build an effective e-learning culture in any system or any organization. Next, so if we compare this traditional approach and the e-learning approach, so traditional approach nothing but this classroom way of delivering the content. So if it is in the case of classroom, so in the case of a traditional classroom, what is this? Nothing but it will be an physical room. That means the number of students will be fixed to an room size. If it is a medium, small size classroom, then more 30 to 40 or approx 60 students will be there. Apart from 60 students, no other student can enter into the class and he can learn. That means the size of the count of the learners will be restricted here in the case of classroom. That too, the mode of content delivery will be synchronous. As we earlier discussed that in the classroom, there will be some time session. At that time only, the learners can learn something from the teacher. So, in the case of it is e-learning. E-learning means that nothing but there will be no size of. There will be no count of the students, like 60 students, 40 students. There will be no count. N number of users can uh, gain the knowledge at a time. That means from any time, at any time, from anywhere, they can access the uh, content from the teacher. So, if it is the case of content, in the case of traditional classroom, either we can have an PowerPoint presentations, or else we can provide the textbooks for them. So, like that, we can do that. Whereas in the case of e-learning, so the same what we have that nothing but we can use this multimedia, and we can use these digital libraries, and we can have an asynchronous communications with and synchronous in the case of e-learning. So in the case of personal, how the personalization is done is nothing but in the case of traditional classroom, there will be only one learning path. That means the teacher is going to deliver the lecture to the students, and the students need to listen what he is delivering. That's only the one way learning. Whereas here in the case of e-learning, this the mode of the path of learning can be decided by the learner itself. That means either he can gain the knowledge by seeing the video lecture, or he can gain the knowledge by reading an journal, or he can gain the knowledge by referring some blogs. So whatever may be, the path of learning will be decided by the learner in the case of e-learning. So these are the differences what we can observe clearly. And this is a instructed LED training. It is nothing but, so it refers to an traditional classroom where the teacher teaches what we said in the a classroom full of students. That means here we have some problems like the distance. That means we need to bring all the students and we need to uh, group them in a particular room, so that it takes a lot of time and money also. And the audience size and response time. So the mode of delivery varies with respect to the size of audience, as well as the response time also. And the working people face difficulty in the finding the replacement of their jobs. So with the help of this, we have some problems like distance, audience size, and response time. And third one is off the time, job time. So if we see this, the concept of e-learning in our rapid changing world, we find that it is difficult to overcome the learning challenges as so in order to bridge the gap, the concepts such as e-learning, e-teaching, and e-teachers has become the part of our effective education. So the e-teaching. So e-teaching is an appreciation of the live teaching with streaming lectures or whiteboards, or we can make it as an downloadable slides. So like this. So e-teaching is nothing but it is an automation of an existing teacher-centered educational approach. So in the case of e-teachers, so e-teachers are nothing but the teachers who work in an internet environment in both regular and virtual classroom situations. So they are able to build a new concepts on the working in their internet time and space, and they can find a new learning resources as they interact with them. Information materials with their students and colleagues. So they are eagerly they can change their mode of delivery, and they can find a new learning resources, so that the learner can be easily accessible to gain the knowledge. So what is the impact of this e-learning on the teaching learning process? So this computer-based network system is provided to the present day teacher with choice of modern tools, information as well as the communication technology in which e-learning, e-teaching, and e-teachers are built in the components in the same impacts and that on teaching learning process. So this e-learning this has a great impact. That means that we have more advantages in the case of teaching and learning. That means a teacher can deliver his own content in different ways, as well as the learner can learn the particular concept in different ways. That means the path of delivery can be selected by the teacher, as a path of learning can be selected by the learner. So if we see some of the points that what are the impacts on this. The first one is it can improves efficiency both in learning and teaching, and it can increases the motivation also, and it can deepens the understanding. That means as by the regular searching of in an internet, then we can know more and more points upon the same topic, and we can have a deep understanding about the topic. And it promotes a collaborative learning. It gives new approach to learning and working. It provides new ways of interacting. It paves a way for personality development. That he can it means that he can improve his skills and knowledge fastly, and it increases social skills, and it creates an interest in learning, and it will be helpful for the self evaluation, and it will be wide reach, and it is consistent, and it will be user convenient, and the flexible and rich medium for students, the useful tool to address the students with different learning and cognitive styles. So self-pacing for slow and quick learners to reduce the stress and increase the satisfaction. So these are some of the impacts what we can see on this if we go with this e-learning. So we have some e-learning tools like one of them is the email. That means every teacher and student should have an email account so that he can communicate with students and parents. The students can submit the assignments, and they can have some attachments like materials or an video lectures, links to that, so they can create a paperless environment to learn that. And then the next one is an audio chat. This is also one resource we have, the e-learning tool. So this is an audio chat is nothing but it is an synchronous tool. Why? Because there will be a separated time in order to communicate between those two. And we can the same way we can communicate with students as well as the parents, and more number of students can participate at a time, and there will be an collaborative learning here all. And if it is online forum, so it is an asynchronous mode. That means the learner can learn he can gain the knowledge at his own interest, as well as the teacher can create a discussion groups here. The student can post their comments. So that means the teacher can post the what are the content they have towards the students in this forum. So uh, the learner can decide his own free time, and he can learn at his own interest. So it is an asynchronous mode. So here the thing is with this asynchronous, the teacher needs to collect the feedback, and he can change his mode of delivery also. Suppose if it is the case of web, so wide range of materials will be available. So the teacher will need to narrow down, as well as it is an resource center. So we can have an sharing of resources also. As it is web, then it will be supported by images, audio, simulation, multimedia. So whatever, so any kind of lecture it can be supported here. So if it is a video conference, then we can conduct a live lectures. So video conference, I think, but it is an synchronous mode of learning. So here also we can communicate with the students, and it is supported by audio and chat and whiteboard. So here we can support the sharing of the applications, and we can, if it is recorded and later it can be used for the demand lectures. That means if it is recorded, then it will be transferred to asynchronous. As it is recorded, the learner can learn whenever he need. So if LMS system, so the learning management system, if this is the tool we use, then we can management the content, we can track the students, administrative features, and we can have an integration with various tools like chat, forum, email at a time. So if we see with an advantages of e-learning, we have several more advantages here. So the classwork of the can be scheduled and around a personal and professional work, and it reduces the cost, travel cost, and the time to and from the school or college, whatever may be. So the learner may have an option to select the learning materials that meet their level of knowledge and interest, and the learner can study wherever they can access. I mean, they have an accessing of computer internet. So the self-paced learning modules allow the learners to work at their own place, and they have flexibility to join the discussion, the bulletin board of which have a thread discussion at any hour. And the different learning styles are addressed, as well as the development of computer and internet skills will be transferable from one to other, and we can successfully completing the online and computer based courses, and that means we can have with an online we can successfully complete a course through these e-resources also. That means we can uh, make up with the many online courses. So this is also one of the major advantage here. So when we go with the disadvantages, so disadvantages will be then as the teacher and the student are not physically present, so there will be some learners who are with a poor study habits. That means they are very poor in their academics, or they are very poor in the learning process itself. And those type of students will be somewhat getting lost due to this. That means an unmotivated learners, or those who are poor study habits may fall behind. And the lack of familiar structure means due to the lack of this particular resources also, as a learner may have interest, but he may don't have the resources to access those. So those kind of the situations also, it will be somewhat problem for us. Uh, the student may feel an isolated and miss social interaction. The instructor may not always be available on demand, and slow and unreliable content, unreliable internet connections. That means if the internet connection is slow due to the, I mean, in the case of rural background area, in the rural areas, the speed of internet will be very, very slow. Suppose if the learner is interested to learn some concept through an video lecture. So as internet connection is slow, it won't be accessible to him, so that he need to face some problems. And some courses like an traditional hands-on courses. So there will be some hands-on courses where the teacher and student should be present, physically present. So in that hands-on courses, then this particular what we can say, this particular e-learning is somewhat difficult for us. So as we have some disadvantages here, so we can mix these two, what the traditional method as well as this digital learning method, which we call as an blended mode of learning. That means as from the past years, from past decades, our method is nothing but the chalk and board method. That means the teacher is used to deliver the content in the classroom. uh, Suddenly we cannot eliminate this method completely, but by continuing this method, you can just mix this particular e-resources. With the help of e-resources, directly you can make or you can change your mode of delivery in the classroom. So the mixing of these two we can call as a blended learning. That means in the traditional classroom, if we implement this digital learning by using these e-resources, so making up the students to interact with uh, the teacher via this e-resources, then it will be a blended mode. So the blended mode of learning is nothing but the learning combines this both e-learning tools with the traditional classroom to ensure the maximum effectiveness. So it offers some of the advantages that face-to-face interaction can be done, as well as the personalized system of interaction, which requires the minimum interaction, and improve the retention and reinforcement through follow-up mechanism of the web, and it will be highly flexible also. So finally, we can say that these e-resources will be more helpful for the learner and also to the teacher in order to share their views in a particular criteria, where it reduces some what we can say reduces some work mechanism to the both the students and as teachers. So the teacher can deliver the content more effectively, and the learner can learn he can learn the knowledge whenever he require with a high output. That means the learner can see that videos or see the we can go through the materials once or twice more effectively, and he can gain more knowledge through different channels. So it is not a group of web pages, but it is nothing but a complex learning environment. That means whatever the content we are delivering, that should be reached to the students. That means the learner should be in a position to grasp what we are going to deliver. Next, we need a possibility for professional to create our learning materials. That means we need to have some resources and effective resources to share our content, and we need a professional LMS system is a complement for all these e-learning relevant standards. That too we need to that it will be somewhat cost, and we need some administrative work also. So finally, we can say that e-learning is nowadays it is an tremendous method followed by the most of the students or the teachers for sharing their knowledge. Thank you.
Sir, some participants have raised their questions through the chat window. You can please see through the chat window, sir.
Yeah, sir. So here I have a question like, does this e-learning will impact our traditional education like infrastructure or library in these kind of pandemic situations and now in upcoming future? Uh, Here the main thing is uh, yeah, it will show some impact that the student cannot reach to the, I mean, in the right now in the pandemic situation, we cannot go outside actually. So it is nothing but we can use the resources more effectively. It may have some impact on this in educational infrastructure and library, okay, but we cannot say that it has more impact. It will be less impact. And then most of the students, they are using the e-resources for their gaining of knowledge rather than this particular reading of books nowadays. But I am not saying that reading of books is not a bad thing, or it is an old traditional thing. That is not, I am not saying that. But right now these e-resources are more helpful for the learners who are interested to learn new things. That's the thing I am saying here. And so here, how to overcome the questionnaire problems and solutions for remaining or missing part of syllabus. So overcome see here the condition is the only thing that we can do right now is in order to cover the syllabus. I mean, the missing parts of syllabus, nothing but we need to provide them uh, the online materials, or else you can share your content what you're going to deliver in the form of an video. And it is better to have an YouTube channel. The most better way that now are using is YouTube channel. You can create a YouTube channel, you can upload your videos, so that and by uploading you collect the feedback from them. You collect the feedback whether they are able to understand what kind, I mean, whether what you are delivering there, or whether the students are suggesting us to change the mode of delivery. So by having the feedback only, you can select what type of resource it is better for the students, and you can go through with that. And the thing is, the one important thing is the selection of this e-resource is also very, very important in the case of a resource person. Why? Because if there will be some, in the case of some engineering subjects itself, if I take an example, there will be some theoretical subjects where the discussion between the topic is enough. But there will be some problematic subjects. That means where the we need to have an derivations and we need to have an analysis of the circuits. So that depends on the subject and that depends on the resource person, the teacher. Why? Because if it is a problematic or an analysis part, simply we cannot write all the equations in an paper or in an whiteboard, and we cannot simply project them to the students. That means we need to expose our intention, what we are going to give step by step actually. That means we need to have a clear session or a clear explanation videos in order to I mean gain the attention of the learner. The learner should have an interest to learn something from our video. That's the thing. And one more question we have here is, some of the people or students may have some fear or to interact lectures via e-learning. In that case, a personal interaction is required. How can we overcome this real-time issues? Okay. Um, Here the thing is, some of the people may have fear. Okay, I agree with that. Why? Because some of the students are there till now that they are new to the handling this internet. Mainly the rural students, rural area students. So they may have a fear in that. But one thing is, the learner should be motivated that he's there to learn something from the teacher. So in order to communicate with the teacher, there should be no fear at all actually. Even though if it is there are some cases, then the teacher can identify uh, by having the assessments. So while having an assessments, they will get, if they are very poor in that particular subject, then they may get some less grade actually. You can identify them, and the teacher can directly come contact with students. Why? Because here the resources is sharing between teacher and student. If the student is fearing to contact the teacher, then it may be possible to identify a student who is fearing, and we can directly contact to them. But my suggestion is, the student should don't have any fear to learn something. So why? Because each and every person is learning something in every day in his own life. So if we are fearing in particular thing, then it is a one word. Fear is not an criteria that learner should have. So even though the question arises, if fear is there, then you can a personal interaction is required. So how can we overcome this kind of real-time issues? So personalization is nothing but, here also you can directly contact the particular resource person, and you can clear your doubts, whatever it have. So they are the questions they have given for me.
Yes, sir. I think the participants can share their feedback form, and the link for the feedback form is shared through the chat window. So all the participants are requested to fill the feedback form for getting the e-certificate. And I would like to thank Mr. A.Y.VISHNU VARDHAN sir for sharing his valuable intelligence on this particular e-learning technique, which is current topic. Because most of them are in a pandemic situation where all the faculties cannot able to deliver their lectures directly to the students. And what are all the advantages of e-learning, what are all the disadvantages of e-learning, how to overcome those disadvantages are well explained by Mr. A.Y.VISHNU VARDHAN sir. Thanks for your intelligence, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
And I would like to extend my thanks to the authorities of Adi Shankara College of Engineering and Technology, our beloved chairman, Dr. Vanke Penchalaya sir, our respected director, Dr. A. Mohan Babu sir, and our respected HOD, Professor Dhananjaya sir, for letting our intelligence to share among all the participants. And I would like to extend my thanks to all the participants who are supporting us in all the day-to-day activities which is arranged by Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering at A.Y.VISHNU VARDHAN College of Engineering and Technology, Gudur. So thanks for your participation, and still many more webinars are arranged, and I would like to request all the participants to support all the webinars organized by Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering in A.Y.VISHNU VARDHAN College of Engineering and Technology. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Okay, then thank you to all the participants.